Oh, we're live.
My wife agrees with that. That's not good, Elliot.
She's the one that told them to move.
Okay, you ready up there now?
No fighting.
Yep.
No fighting.
Yeah, he said we're good.
Okay.
I love it.
I'd like to open this special meeting on October 20th for the purposes of discussing basically ARPA funding. Please rise, we'll pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to open up the meeting to public comments and discussions. I know several of you have projects you want to present, and that portion of, and this is all related to the ARPA funding, and Councilman Giuliano will take care of this part of the meeting. You just get up there, give your name, your address, and speak into the microphone. And we'll try to answer whatever you got.
He says we should go up, speak into the microphone.
Okay.
Do you want to come, or you just want me to go?
You go.
All right. Welcome.
I'm going to take this off. Hello, I'm Cynthia Cook, and I'm the president of the Clinton Historical Society, and with me is Craig Marshall, the vice president. He's also the Town of Clinton historian, a position that's paid for by the Town of Clinton. And I understand that there are two possible ways that the Historical Society might be able to benefit from the ARPA funding. Number one, I understand nonprofit organizations that have suffered financial loss would be eligible to make application. We at the Historical Society have had a very rough couple of years. We had to cancel for 2020 and 2021 our major fundraiser, which is the Progressive Dinner. Typically that raises about $7,500 to $8,000. That's gone. Our budget is less than like $15,000. So that's half of our volunteer budget right there. In addition to that, there was the driving tour that we held for the first time in 2019. Couldn't hold that for the last 2 years. We had to lose our tag sale, our Christmas auction, our Christmas craft sale, and rentals. So in a rough way, and I didn't have time because I didn't know about this really in time to do a detailed job on it, but I pulled out the worksheet that our treasurer used for 2018 to project our 2019 budget. We would have better numbers for 2019, but in that year, we had fundraising that brought in $7,858.75. That was lost the next year, 2 years later. We had sales and rentals and donations. A lot of that comes in from a donation bottle by the front door, especially during exhibits, which we also had to cancel. So I've made just a very rough estimate, and we would certainly want to work with you to come up with a refined figure and get our treasurer, Frank McMahon, involved. But if you just take what we were doing in 2018 and double it for 20 and 21, it looks like we're down $16,867.50. Now that's using 2018 figures. It would be slightly different. And I will say that we have been successful this fall and summer holding a couple tag sales. So we were able to chip away at some of that loss. Our board members felt terrible, about the loss of revenue. So this is a real godsend for us, and we hope that we could make application and make whatever financial record keeping that you would need available for that. The other thing that is of some interest to us is the fact that we hold quite a few town records. And I've been made aware by both Carol and Ray that there's part of this money that is apparently being applied toward the digitization of town records, historical records. And I just want to make you aware that we also have in our holdings that's 20 boxes, 18 boxes of town records. And I can give you a sense of what some of them are. Deeds and mortgages from 1898 to 1932. Contracts, bonds, lease warrants, receipts, 1898 to 1923, mainly during the tenure of town clerk Charles E. Halsted and G.A. Allendorf. We have mainly bills for compensation and some invoices, highway fund payroll, property exempt from taxation, and some miscellaneous papers from 1898 to 1904. We have civil defense, invoices, lottery fees, hunting licenses, insurances, fire companies, dog and kennel licenses, supervisor reports, highway expenses, highway expenditures, and monthly town clerk reports from the 1950s. We also have chattel mortgages, including payments as well as pending discharges and correspondence during the 1940s and 50s. Chattel mortgages, similar, from the 1960s. Checks and vouchers, including distribution in the highway account books related to payroll bills, boat registrations. There's also an opinion poll about, do you favor this proposed zoning ordinance? Which dates, again, I guess, from the 1950s. Financial statements of bingo operations. I guess we had bingo. Junk licenses. Checks for recreation, fire districts, mortgages, highway account book, general receipt books, check stubs, and warrant books, 1950 to 62. Chattel mortgages and related documents, again, from the 1950s. A record of fees, dog license booklets, lists of owners of harborers of dogs from the 50s. Booklets of list of owners of harborers of dogs, town superintendent's estimate for highway purposes, report of road improvements, report of bridge construction, report of culvert construction, agreement for the expenditure of highway monies, correspondence, insurance policies, and payments from 1914 to 1963. Back to bingo, dog and kennel licenses, lotteries, library, fire companies, supervisor reports, clerk monthly reports, hunting licenses, insurance, jury lists, sheriff law, correspondence, and miscellaneous 1960s. I'm almost finished. Financial information, which includes reports from the Department of Taxation and Finance, preliminary budgets, monthly statements of the town supervisor, annual estimates submitted by the superintendent of highways, as well as bills, invoices, and related correspondence from 1908 to the 1980s. And this is really interesting. It's also being digitized by the county, thank goodness, which are town minutes and record of slave manumissions between 1791 and 1817, and records of earmarks. They were very carefully recorded. Different farmers had a different earmark for his cattle, and they would hand those over and trade them and record them. We also have Clinton births, a listing of births not being digitized from 1910 to 1925, and minute books from 1821 to 1857 from the town board minutes. So if there's any way that this can be incorporated into what you're doing, made available in a manner that is available to the public, because that's our purpose, is to make this available for research and to have people have access to it, we would be really grateful for that. as well. And so,
Do you have, like an estimated estimated cost that it might be to digitize all that at this point?
I do not. I just found out about this on Monday, so.
Okay.
But, I understand from listening last Tuesday, this is something that you're developing and the
Yeah,
due
so
date.
the
due date
good
is
news is we
April.
have some time. We're trying to get a direction, because I think right
Okay.
now we're trying to come up with the ideas, and then we can all take a vote on, and you're right, so we can use funds for, it's not just for town, for the town purposes, for other parts of the
Yeah.
town and people and businesses
Yeah.
for it, likewise. What I encourage you to do, since, obviously this is getting a lot of information, is to try to come up with a budget on what that might cost. Because that's what we gotta figure into the numbers, and when we go into our reporting next year, it was supposed to be the end of this month was our first, report that we had to do, but it's not gonna be till next year. So we wanna put that, whatever we end up working out and putting in there, we gotta have some sort of, they're gonna require us to have some sort of, estimate, and then we're also gonna have to do through the procurement process on some of this stuff as it goes with our town procurement policy, that we gotta have either a bid process to get these jobs done as well. So there's a few things. So I'd encourage you to just come up with a number, a
Okay.
ballpark.
We are an all-volunteer organization. We don't have an IT professional and even an archivist. We have a volunteer who comes down, every 6 months or so, or every 3 months, comes to me 6 times a year. So
We'll
it's,
help you do that. Ray and I will help you do that.
Well, I was going to ask that question
Yeah,
because
well, we'll help you.
we've got Laserfish file conversion. We must use an algorithm for what that cost is going to be. So
And to
we
cap-
ought to be able to apply it to what you
will
have as well.
will those files be publicly accessible?
One of the, if I.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, no, you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go
You
ahead.
deal with it. Okay, as I mentioned to you before, our process is Laserfish,
I understand.
and I don't know what your process is, and whether they're compatible or not is a big issue, because if it's Laserfish compatible, it's pretty straightforward that we can interchange our documents, your documents, and everything else on one platform, and we have a protocol that we're putting in place for the public to go on a web page and be able to search out these things that are able to be searched. Obviously, personnel records are not going to be on it and things of that nature. So, as I said before, we have to understand what you're doing to see how much is compatible with what we're doing, and you'll probably have to go through as a separate project, because we're ready to roll as soon as I get the board's approval. Because I got estimates and everything else, and it's going to take us, I don't know, I figured 3 months, 4 months till it's all scanned and stuff, because we got
Yeah.
boxes and boxes of
Is it
stuff.
really going to be, my sister, by some very strange coincidence, happened to be the Laserfish manager for the county of Erie, Pennsylvania. And she knows a lot about it,
Yeah,
and she has cautioned me that, it's very expensive to have a license that is publicly accessible.
well, that's what I said. If
And you have to
it's
renew it every
compatible
year.
to fit in with what we're doing, it's just another port or another sign-on. It's not that you buy the program. It's free, basically.
It's
So-
free? It's very expensive.
Well,
It'd
that's
be
why.
free to you. It's
But we
costing
gotta-
us.
No, it may not cost us anything extra just to add
Well,
another
that's what I'm
place
saying.
to come in. So that's why I say, we gotta know what you're gonna be using as your vehicle. Now, Laserfish is one program. There's couple others out there, and I don't know the compatibility between them. Plus, we got a lot of records already on Laserfish.
Yep.
And we may, from the list that you worked on, maybe a third of them are duplicates of what we have. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I just don't know. I'm
No,
just
I think
saying.
that what each of us has is a set of microfilm of those very old
Mm-hmm.
and precious documents that are in the safe. And we have that on microfilm, and you have that on microfilm. And I know from my work at the FDR Library that microfilm is, first of all, very stable. You should never get rid of it. And number two, you can digitize from microfilm much more inexpensively than doing it page by page.
Yeah.
I would also say and ask you if I could at least understand your process. I think because you're going to be working with some extremely rare documents, you're going to have to make sure that protective sleeves are available as if they go through a machine.
They go through a
And that the
machine of
people
some
are
sort.
trained who, the ancient documents are very different than digitizing current documents. So I'd
Yeah.
like to be involved in that and help advise you on that so that we don't lose. Well, at least we'll always have the microfilm. So
Why
that's,
don't we have some kind of a conference call with Bruce and ask Cynthia to come over?
Oh, yeah, we could do it that way, or she could come over and we could show her what I have
We can have a
and see if
conference
it's
call.
compatible.
We can have a conference call with our rep at Laserfish and,
because you did show me. I mean, I've seen the safe. I've seen I've seen your Laserfish. I wasn't able to work with it because of this licensing
Right.
issue. But, I think I'd like to be involved in your early documents, let's just put it that way, because I think the Historical Society has a real interest in that. And,
The biggest dilemma that comes up is if it's handwritten, like the earlier documents, they are less easily searched than typewritten ones.
you got to
okay?
transcribe them,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, we have that same dilemma. That's why we have microfilm for the handwritten stuff and we have
digitize.
digitized for the other stuff. So, if you, I know there are programs out there that take handwritten stuff and digitize it, okay? But then someone's got to go through and verify if they misinterpreted it or someone was sloppy when they were writing and they couldn't read it. So, that's an element that has to be resolved.
The Historical Society has digitized some of its early documents, and they have gone to a lab that specializes in 18th century material, handwritten material. And we're about to put that on our website, and it's also we're giving it, copy to the county historian's office as well. But it's the handwritten stuff. You
Yeah.
gotta know how to read 18th century
I know.
draw,
I've looked at a lot of the microfilm over the years.
No, this is not microfilm, this is high,
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I've looked at microfilm of handwritten minutes of all kinds and stuff. When I was searching out, when did this property change hands or whatever, and it's challenging to say
It's
the
very
most.
challenging.
Because it's a linear search,
I know.
so you can't get to this one until you go through all the others.
But anyway, so that's
Yeah,
going from microfilm to a digital document.
but that's a
Is-
separate issue if we can get the
Well, I hope,
Typewritten
I hope you
stuff
looked into that and
would
talked to
be one part
the
of the
Laserfish
process,
people about
and the
that.
other part of the process would be the handwritten stuff.
Yeah.
And it's got to be sorted in two
But
different ways.
before you sign on the dotted line with them, make sure they know you've got the microfilm,
Oh,
and see if there's anything they can do with it, because all of the public papers of Franklin Roosevelt that are online right now, because I was there, came from microfilm, and now they're reorganized and you can access them and they're searchable, which they weren't when they were, very well, when they were microfilm.
No,
But
we-
that's kind of a standard way of doing it.
when we did all of this early work on this stuff, it was in the mid-1990s. And we had boxes and boxes of stuff. I don't know how many, but it was,
Also got 12 boxes.
no,
that-
no, I'm saying, when we did it, we did a lot. It was like over a pickup truck loads worth stacked up.
Yeah. We have 12 boxes in the attic that came from your dumpster, rescued by Bill McDermott. We don't know what's in there, but that's there. And that brings me to, just to let you know a little bit about what the Historical Society is up to. We have hired an architect who is doing a building condition report for us right now. We just finished the grant that you kindly wrote a support letter for. Thank you for that. That will, if funded, take us to the next step of producing measured drawings for the building. We hope to do a renovation of that building. We're not sure how far we're going to take it. One of our top priorities is to get handicapped access in there. It's a terrible thing. If there's anything within this funding stream that has to do with providing better public access to public buildings, we would be interested in learning more about that also. We also don't have, an archivist or any staff. If there's any way that we can apply to the town for any help in organizing this, we're looking for possibly even a new home for those archives that are stored in the second floor. And so we've got a lot going on over there, and we may be involved in a major renovation of that historic building for the benefit of the town, and we would appreciate any help that could be given to us by the town. So,
The other thing, the county,
our treasurer's here.
the county is giving out monies to do a lot of things of that nature too.
Who is?
The county, so you go on the county portal and give them, I haven't been on it because I got enough troubles with budget and all this other stuff that I'm doing. But go on that and see, because they've been given things like $5,000 to $50,000 monies to all kinds of organizations, baseball,
Especially for
Fire.
accessibility, so.
yeah,
The
so,
handicap might be something that they
Okay.
would give you a grant for.
yeah.
Okay.
So search that out on the county webpage,
Okay.
and there's a portal there saying ARPA funds or something.
ARPA funds for those kinds of projects.
Well, it's just go in there and
Okay.
then search your way through.
Okay.
I have not been on it, so I don't know much about the
Okay.
site. But that's another venue for you to try to get monies.
Well, we're going to try them all.
Yeah, but, and they, as I say, they've been very generous. They seem to top out maximum at 50,000. So maybe you cobble two things together and you get 100,000 out of it,
Yep.
I don't know.
6 of them, and we got 300,000.
Yeah,
Now you're talking. Our secretary, Kathy McMahon, who you all know, and Frank McMahon, our treasurer, is here. And I guess if you have any questions, I talked to them about stuff that I had from your 2018 report, which showed that we had raised about $16,800 that year. I don't know if you want to answer any questions about our losses since you're here. I don't know. You probably should come up. Yeah.
You got any questions? That was really easy.
So do you have a number of what you think the scope of the losses were over the pandemic?
I think we also lost about just under 16,000 in the last year of
Okay.
fundraising that we couldn't do. So I think it goes along with our numbers.
okay, thanks, Frank.
Anyone else? Ideas, suggestions? All right, Catherine?
Catherine Mostello, Pumpkin Lane. I just wanted to add on, I had a thought about what you guys were discussing last town board meeting about the playground equipment here. It would be nice to put the rubberized playground floor, for lack of a better word, underneath it. I think it would help out the highway and maintenance guys a lot because they wouldn't have to worry about mulch and weeds. And maybe it could be added to the playground equipment at Fran Mark and Friends for safety. And as I said, I think in the long run, it would probably save money in maintenance. But other than that, I already told you guys last town board meeting what my ideas were, but.
Right?
The rubberized, the material, the recycled rubberized material that they use.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know how it wears, but I know back when I was doing camp, that was always, we had to get mulch and it had to be spread and it had to be a certain depth for safety. And I think that the rubberized, once you put it down, it should be good for a number of years, I imagine.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Could you spell out for us, Chris, what the town is planning to do and what the total amount of ARPA funding is?
So the total amount of the funding is around 430,000, give or take a little bit. We got one payment, half of it this summer, and then we get the other half next year. We have a couple of years to be able to spend it all on there. The first reporting that we have is in 2022. I think it's in April. What we have, we don't have anything etched in stone right now, and that's what we're trying to figure out. We have some projects like Ray and Carol were talking about the microfiche and digitizing that's been set aside as a priority. And then now we're trying to figure out how to use the rest. So obviously a lot of stuff that we've been working on. That's why I wanted to have another public hearing and give them the opportunity for we can use projects outside of the town, inside the town, but outside the town, such as the Historical Society would potentially be able to be granted some of that money for, to hear what everyone else needs. Because you're right, it is in the ARPA funding that we can distribute it as we see fit and how it's going to benefit the town as a whole. So that's what we're trying to figure out the best way to use. And we don't have to figure out how to spend 100% of it right now, but we can get things moving so we can start using it to benefit the town.
Well, I hope if there's any way to consider the Historical Society an adjunct of the town that would make us more attractive. We're on your phone system. Craig is the town historian on your payroll. So, if there's any way to massage that, we would really appreciate it.
And that's the purpose of tonight, is to try to find ways that we can use it as a whole, as part of the community.
The timeline for the funds for everybody is that we have to have the money, we have to be under contract, we have to be committed to the spending that we're going to do by the end of 2024, and the money has to be spent by the end of 2026.
Yeah, so we have some time, but there is a certain procurement policy that on some of the funds that are going over the 20 or the 35,000, depending on the process that we got to go through. So that's why it's important to know the numbers that we're trying to get.
Anything written that we can look at, what you're planning to do, or is it not ready?
We're making it.
We're making it.
Yeah. A lot of emails going back and forth.
Yeah, which we'll go over today too, on some of the stuff here.
But also, as Ray has said, if you go on the website, you'll find that there are opportunities a lot earlier than these dates for you to get some improvements, okay? And especially when it comes to ADA, the handicap stuff. So, and that is very, very high priority. So I would encourage you to go on the web and look at other options that are going to get something to happen sooner, okay?
I looked at the ARPA website, I didn't see anything like that.
Well, the county is giving out grants like every month.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay?
Is the Historical Society eligible for CDBG grants?
Only through us.
Only through us? Okay.
Yeah. Which would make it because
Yeah,
Craig
because
is there.
I know that
Craig is there.
accessibility things are a
Yeah.
big thing with that.
Yeah. They're in the right zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
But I don't know when that's got to be in by. It's very close to the deadline.
Yeah.
I lost track.
any other comments from in here? No? Okay, there's one that Carol had here from Ian Schrank about another possible on his email. His suggestion was to negotiate with the cell provider to get us better cell coverage in town. We have none once we, this is reading off his sheet here, we have none once we step outside our door, or no cell service outside his door, he's saying in most of Clinton, which I think we all can agree with that. Try to find a way to, he's basically trying to find a way, for us to get cell coverage. And we can definitely do infrastructure and find ways to be creative with that. And I think that's something we've also spoke about in the past on trying to find a way to negotiate with them. maybe with the 5G that's coming in and everything else. And I thought there was one other thing, let's see. Bob Kelsey was suggesting that ARPA funds should be used for upgrade of town roads as their infrastructure. There are certain limitations with the highway department and the roads with using ARPA. We can use it for drainage issues. We can use it for broadband infrastructure areas. Stuff that might be like a roadway or converting a dirt road to a paved road, that kind of goes on the highway budget, so that might not do. But definitely some of the drainage issues might come as a form of stormwater drainage is considered infrastructure. I think those were the two letters that we've had here. And then I know, going down the list, I know, Mike, you want to talk about the ones that are on the top page here that you had?
Sure. I mean, off the top of my head, I had written an email saying that we could add more solar to the highway garage. Ray suggesting adding that we add battery backup for those solar. So if we lose power, certain things can still operate, including the geothermal, so no pipes freeze. An accessible bathroom added to the library with a connection between the first floor and the basement. I had put in something about painting the Masonic Hall, although we've created a reserve fund now for that, so that's probably going to be off the list. Adding ceiling fans to the pavilion at Franmark Park. I don't know if it's totally necessary, but it was a suggestion someone had brought to me at one point during a very hot time during the summer. And granting the Historical Society funds to digitize all their records was on my list. Yeah.
So where are the guidelines? Where are the guidelines for the town's applications?
So if you look up, what is it, the interim rule, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't done final yet.
Yeah, we haven't had final rules yet, and in fact, we're gonna talk about this too. I think
Yeah,
Congress is trying to make the rules a little looser, so we don't have so many guidelines. But there is something called the interim rule that they created for the ARPA funds, and if you Google it, you'll find it, and it's
What's
not the most exciting reading.
No, but I mean, you all seem to have something that you're referring to.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're still on some of the stuff, honestly, we're kind of going back, like I've been through a couple of the webinars myself, and, you know, they get back into infrastructure, but there's a lot of gray areas on how, and I think that's what they're trying to, you know, we're waiting for a little more define on what they consider, because it's very, very gray. And I do encourage anyone, if you go on, you can try to research it, and you're just gonna see how the hell can anyone read it, you know, on what they want. And we're trying to make, the best navigate, and that's why they kind of extended the reporting process and everything, because there's a lot of gray areas and people are not 100% sure. And you know, when we start reporting and we start doing these projects, we don't want them to come back and say, hey, that's not an approved way, and you guys kind of approved it, and now they're going to say you can't use the money, and then we got to find in the town budget how to spend it.
So the thing that you mentioned at the beginning, what was that called? I couldn't really hear.
What's that?
The interim rule is what they're called.
Interim rules.
Yeah.
For
From the
ARPA.
Treasury
The
Department.
Treasury Department is writing the rules for this.
Interim rules.
If you type into Google interim rule ARPA, you'll find it.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 75 pages of dull reading.
So let me ask a question, because I wouldn't think a ceiling fan or painting the building
Yeah.
would be acceptable.
No.
Now, these were like ideas when we first found out
Oh,
about
okay.
this. That was that email
I-
from
yeah,
when
I
we first
just-
found out about ARPA.
I was like, that doesn't even sound
Yeah,
right.
so on my list, I've already like crossed off Masonic Hall and the ceiling fan thing, but
Because, you know, like, one of the things that I brought up for many years is doing a dog park, so, I
Yeah,
mean, that wouldn't be
that
part
would-
of that.
Not
Yeah.
quite,
Because that's,
unless it's a,
although if you watch the right webinars
Yeah.
from the attorneys for the Association of Towns,
could be
they
a
sort
help.
of make it sound like if you massage your reporting enough, you can almost justify anything.
yeah.
But
I mean, for the public health, the well-being, I mean, there's ways, and I guess, you know, you can probably too, and I was trying to figure that out before I came here, I ended up working a
Well,
little bit late.
one of the things that I brought up once before, and I didn't see it on any of these lists, and something that Chris and I, when we had our conversation with the building inspector, was that he was mentioning that other towns use other software that would not only improve the efficiency of the building and zoning department, because all of the materials would be accessible through this software, so COs and certificates and stuff like that, but you could also connect every department. Some towns have where the clerk's office could, get those documents, or have accessibility to those documents, and also the assessor, so that once a building permit is already, created, it automatically kicks it down to the assessor to know that, that work has been done, so,
Is that the map link thing?
No.
No, all right.
And I think that
Municipal.
potentially would be able to be an option.
no, that should be an option, because it would make it, because like even some of the software that I was looking up, it basically, everybody could even apply right online for their building permit, instead of trying to come in and make an appointment and stuff like that. They could actually fill out all forms digitally, and then this is less, work for anybody, because now it's all typed in once and
Because I know as a contractor working out and trying to go on, a lot of these towns still were required to do everything manually, go in. So, I mean, that's something that would definitely be helping the public and the residents,
I'm just looking at the fact that, many businesses over this last year had to close and work from home.
Yeah,
So two of the things that I wanted to bring up tonight was, one, that software that
Okay.
we're, to make things more accessible to the town's residents, but also for if someone had to work from home rather than being in the office. And second was something that I brought off probably about 6 years ago, before we had our phone system crash, was that we should have been upgrading our phone system to an IP phone system. I just think our phone system is too antiquated, still to the point where you're dialing the clerk's office, and you still have to punch in an extension. Most of these IT phone systems have one number where you could dial in, but it has the ability to dial each individual extension without having to dial the extra extension number. So I just think that we'd be saving money, because looking at the phone bill every month,
oh,
it's probably double what it would be if it was an IP phone system.
and the efficiency
Yeah.
of that, I mean.
And then you can
like,
work from
gotta
home,
listen
because
to-
you'd
if
have
you don't- if you don't
your
know,
extension ring to your home
Yeah.
phone or wherever.
I mean, you have Ray's phone number that goes into that, which kind of gives it doesn't give a whole list of breakdown different departments. Then we got the highway, and then building, and then Carol's department.
So originally, 6 years ago, when I looked into it, I mean, it was only going to cost us about $6,200 to change the,
So-
the phone system.
That was
And
six-
most of those IT phones are still pretty much the same cost. So it's really the cost of buying the phone. All you have to do is plug it into your computer. The internet is really what runs it. So it's not like you have to buy anything else.
Yeah. well,
So I don't think that price is much different from when I got a price 6 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, it's,
IP.
IP, thank you.
all right. Well, anything else, Dean? Did you have any other ideas for your?
No, I mean, we can go over the rest that's on the list here.
Okay. I guess we gotta go to the Ray's updated list, because it's updated a couple times here.
It's just the first update.
So,
Okay, the first one is my proverbial town complex generator, so that this whole place can be running when the electricity goes off. It's 150,000.
So I spoke to Ray yesterday, we had a conversation, and I think one of the things that, I think maybe in the past, because this is the first time that kind of came up in the past, was, how are we gonna fund that? And, now we have a potential vehicle to fund the generator, and to have stuff that might be a feasible way to have it, as, one, it does protect the buildings and everything else if something goes down, and in the event of emergency, having some sort of protection where some people might not have.
Well, the worst thing is, if someone is stuck on the third floor of the Masonic Lodge,
And that's it, handicap.
they cannot get down,
That's correct. Yeah.
because you need electricity to make the elevator work, and it won't work.
No, if they're handicapped.
Not if they're handicapped. we got wheelchairs, we got people with canes and walkers. So,
We used to have these special things, if I could talk to you about, at the FDR library where we could haul people down. There was special kind of rescue chairs.
oh yeah, well, yeah, I know what you're talking, but rescue squads would have to do that. Otherwise, we have a liability.
Top of a new staircase.
Yeah, well, and then you have the inverse of that over in the town hall, if they're down in the basement and they gotta get out. They can't get up those stairs because the elevator's not working there. So it's both ways, down and up. So that's why you need it. Essentially, power goes out, the building closes, everybody goes home, nothing happens. Okay, the next one is all the Laserfish projects I put together into one thing, and there are a lot of pieces to it. It's 103,327. These are bids that I've received already, ready to roll.
So my question to you on these bids, are they, because obviously that reading the procurement policy, that goes, the ARPA procurement policy, matter of fact, I think you guys sent it to the document to me, and I started reading that. Do we have 3 bids on some of this
Don't
stuff?
need 3. The conversion one, the scanning documents thing, is for disabled people, so it's an automatic.
It's an auto,
Oh,
okay.
that's automatic.
So the scanning documents, the
Right,
first one's
and
auto.
Laserfish has the state bid.
Okay, and Laserfish, they got the state bid, okay.
Yeah, so, both pieces are covered.
Is there an ongoing cost to it after it's done?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a
So,
maintenance
I know,
cost.
so,
Yeah.
so what I'm asking is, do we have any idea of what that would add to the budget
Yeah,
every
it's
year? But
about $1,000.
okay, all right. Well,
So that's an interesting thing that Mike brought up, because anything that has a recurring payment after the fact is not gonna be
Right.
covered on
Yeah.
the ARPA funds on here, so that would have to be
Yeah.
figured out, yeah, just, I'm pretty sure Ray already read that.
Oh,
figured
yeah.
out, but just saying.
Next one is 3 outdated computer network switches, which move the computer network that we have through the building. Any one goes down, we're gonna lose that segment of activity. It's not very expensive, it's about $8,700 to get them. New computer server backup system to improve what we have is $10,600. Replace the TV station electronics for broadcasting to residents on cable and YouTube is estimated at $27,000. Maybe we can get something from the cable company, I don't know. Normally we do every time we get contract renewal, which is 10 years, but this stuff, some of the parts have been failing and they've been replacing them, or small stuff we've been replacing, so.
Gotcha.
Maybe we can get some relief there, don't know. The other one is a cyber security vulnerability assessment, that's about 16,000, that's having a company come in and actually check out the whole security system. Could almost be to the point you won't get cybersecurity insurance anymore unless you have some features like this being done. So that's coming, and whether it's next year or the year after, I don't know, but,
So this is, all they are doing is they're getting paid to go through our system. for that
well, and
16,000.
do
It's not-
penetrations and everything else.
But it's not updating anything.
No. They'll tell you what you need to update with. Now, I think we're pretty good, but you gotta have some proof. So that's what that one is. The other one is foam spray insulate the new highway garage. But to do that, you first gotta fix the leaks in the roof with budget
Yeah,
funds.
yeah.
Now, I haven't got an estimate on that, I don't have time. Rebuild site by Civic Plus, it's used by town of Red Hook, that's about 25,000. It could be a later one.
That
Yeah.
seems quite a bit, because when we were pricing out the current website that we have, the county, through OCIS, would do it. Back then, they were just really creating our county's website, which has been award-winning over the years, for about 8,000.
Okay.
But they have a healthy yearly maintenance on that, in the county one. like 2,000-3,000 a year. So, you know.
Well, there's gonna be some sort of reoccurring fee with that every year, no
I
matter
don't
what,
know, this
right?
one, I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
But Red Hook likes it. I have not seen it. Just put it down, placehold, so we can move ahead. And then the other one, which I don't have any costs with, I've asked the town engineer to study it, didn't do a high priority. Improve air filtering in the town hall meeting room, that's this one. Library up and downstairs, courtroom, Masonic room, and others if practical. In other words, to put the HEPA filters or whatever they call them in. Now, the difficulty that happens there is you gotta have fresh air coming in. So it means somehow you gotta have windows open to have air recirculating.
Well, you
Just
can do
filters themselves will not do the job.
Yeah, I mean,
Air exchangers, right?
They're air exchange HRV systems and stuff like that. They're systems that design,
I know, but I mean, we got thousands of dollars worth of system right here, so I don't know how.
Oh, they can tie into, so I mean, so.
I just don't know. I
No, no,
asked
no,
them
I'm-
to give me a number.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, so we'd have to get bids on, have someone come in, they can tie the HRV systems, what it is, bringing a fresh air vent in, and it's a heat recovery system, and then it has a fresh air vent out. We install them all the time.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, but I mean, it is involved in a bigger building, but it is a good thing, and we know we can use the funds for, if it's health
Yeah, I
related
know,
and
yeah.
for updating, so I
But
mean, that's
I have no idea
definitely a
how
possibility.
one does that. MapLink is used by ZEO, building inspector Arlene, and assessor, and that says estimated 5,000. It's on the lower level of priorities, okay? If you- And then the other one is really significant in the town. Extending broadband improvements, that's Cablevision, along the road with the cable, because there are spots where there are no cables. And the other part is going from the road to the person's house, which could be anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000. And most people say, not doing it, I'm gonna go with satellite and all. It makes it hard for them to Zoom and do really interactive stuff from home. You know, like, for example, if kids gotta go to school and they live half a mile from the cable, going up and down to the satellites is not very productive. It's very
So an
frustrating.
interesting way of possibly doing, because obviously broadband is clearly one of the things that they said was the funds could be used for, is maybe, we could allot a certain amount for residents to put an application in, that they can get a certain amount of funding towards their project to get it on their property. Might be an interesting way, it's just a suggestion.
There's probably, I'm just guessing, 25 families that fit in that category. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, and as you guys have heard me talk about, one of the issues for some of those families is that the road is in one service area, say Pleasant Valley and Comcast, but their home is in Clinton, which is Altice.
I know, that's
And the
another
companies
issue.
don't want to help out.
I know. And then the other part of the problem is over on the 9G area, you got Spectrum. They got a couple homes over there that are in their area too. So, there's
Just
Lot
out of
of stuff to
curiosity,
be
would
worked out.
it help if the board drafted, approved and drafted a letter to both, the two main providers over here and say, we're getting fed up with this, we gotta come to an understanding that you gotta return our phone calls, because I know you said you had problems.
Yeah, they don't respond.
And we sent a letter over there, you're servicing our community, and as the board, we're not happy with this?
I don't know,
at least-
anytime I put a complaint into Public Service Commission, I usually get within an hour a phone call.
Sure. I go direct, what I've found is I first go to the one person that is our contact. When he doesn't reply, I may or may not have like 7 other email addresses of people that were CC'd at one point. So then I just send it to everybody. Then usually somebody responds within a short amount of time.
takes the bait.
Because they realize that everybody is seeing that nobody's working on the problem. The last time I did that, though, it did not work. So I'm a little, this issue is one that they've been, I know Pleasant Valley was working on it. They had the same wall that
I
they're
would say
facing.
wherever the pole is at the entrance of the driveway is who's got to service it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's,
and so I do think that this is a great idea, like maybe we could have residents along Rusky who are having this problem, and we could help get them some money so they can run a line themselves from their home to the pole out on the road, and then it's serviced by Comcast and they're fine.
so if we want to just throw a number out there, let's say we say 25 residents, so we start a fund of 25,000, we give everybody $1,000 and.
That won't buy it.
What do you mean that won't buy it?
It's not enough. They start around 2 to 5,000 to put in a wire, cable.
It's, like, there was
Not
one
cheap.
resident I helped, that her home was 700 feet from the road.
Yeah.
They wanted $15,000 to do it. We were able to talk them down to, I think, 5,000 because she had the equipment to dig the trench herself. But it was 5,000 still for 700 feet.
I mean, obviously, it's gonna be tough trying to figure, for the town to, or to absorb, to pay the 100% of it. I think if there's a way that we come up with, offering as like a town grant is basically what it's gonna be, that we're gonna offer out through an application process with these 25 homes, whatever, a percentage, or we gotta come up with an amount that we can award them through, just like with the Historical Society, we can award them money to do some of their projects, that if they do that and they finish it within a period of time, that they can apply, or they'll apply beforehand, they'll be able to get that. The question is, that's a good thing, what is the number? I mean, obviously, we can't afford to do 25 people at $5,000 a piece to get them through, but at least it's a little bit, if they're able to do it, it helps them out and gets them in the right direction. That $1,000 or $1,500 might be the catalyst that says, hey, at least I'm getting something, I have an opportunity, or I have an invested interest to do it now. Maybe not.
I just bring it up because I know it's a problem, it has been a problem, and I can't follow up on it, but I just want to make sure
Yeah.
it's brought.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's very important.
So that's my list. Not too big, a little expensive.
You brought the expensive list, Ray. I don't know, that's absorbing a lot of it. We'll have to. All right, let's see, so that was Ray's. Was there anything else here that,
Just going back to what Michael brought up earlier on his list there, I mean, that's one of the things I've said, when we've had the debate over the generator, was that if we had more solar and we had battery backup, technically, that's, the battery backup is taking the place of the generator, really. And we're getting instant use of it, in the sense that, we're getting an instant benefit. We're saving on all that electric use that we're going through right now.
are there, and I don't know this answer, is there any, or I'm gonna ask it because I don't know if anyone really knows the answer to it, but it's something that we can find out. Is there any incentives that might be other grants or something that are given right now that they're doing with solar for?
Not for government.
For not commercial, but townwide, that we might be able to.
But I know.
No, they're big into the electric vehicles right now, so if we're putting in those charging stations, we'll get plenty of help, but.
Which there was something that I read, I think that Ray just recently sent on over, about that they're figuring on allowing that for ARPA, for the town.
Oh, yeah.
Vehicles and
Charging.
charging stations.
So, I mean, do we want, I guess the question is, one of the things, is there anything that someone or we all agree on that right off the bat to get something going?
Well, can we still have Carol's list.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carol.
That's all right.
Mine pretty much parrots.
Yours parrots it, but I think the hotspot at the parks, which we have all spoken about, but I don't think it was mentioned tonight.
I think
Wi-Fi at
that's
the
a
parks.
very important thing, because one, for the cameras, getting on there, and we can integrate the cameras between all the parks together, and the technology is really easy to do, as long as we have good Wi-Fi. And people can use it as well while they're there, they can get on and have better phone service and so forth.
Yeah, I do actually talk about wanting to use tablets, but we do have a lot of paper, and We have a lot of permanent documents, vital statistics. You know, we've got, as Cynthia mentioned, some of the oldest paper vital statistic records in New York State. We have them here in the town of Clinton. So I would love to have another fireproof safe.
Is that on, did you?
Not sure where we would
It is on
locate
panels.
it at the moment, but I think that's
Oh.
important. You know, history is important, particularly in our case, because we are unique, because we have these things.
Out of curiosity, how, like physical size, how big is that safe that would have to be for
Yeah,
that?
how big is that safe?
That one?
Yeah,
That's probably 6 foot by 5 feet high, 6 foot wide, and maybe 3 feet deep or something like
yeah,
that.
something like that.
The only reason it is where it is because nobody can move it. That's where it was put.
Yeah, yeah.
They built the walls around it and everything else.
Yeah,
You have the other solution, which you can do, is you can take under the porch here
Yeah,
and finish fireproofing, knock those 2 windows out that are in there, and replace the door. The door is fireproof, but you may want to put a different door. And that was designed to be a vault type of thing.
And
Oh,
that's-
really?
And you can
Yeah,
walk into that.
Yeah, yeah, I designed that when we did the reconstruction here.
huh.
So that can be done.
And that would be able to house both, so both the existing safe and whatever else that we'd have to put in?
Well-
I just need more space. So
More-
the existing safe.
You always want more space, Carol.
I asked for very little, actually.
Well, the
but-
state mandates it.
No,
Yeah, she's got to keep certain records.
Yeah, no, I understand.
unfortunately.
And it's like full to the rafters, so if I need to reach something in the back, let's say, I've got to remove 2 layers in front of that to reach something in the back. So I have a matrix or a template of where I have everything so that, you know,
Yeah,
I
you
don't
gotta-
keep
to get to the-
reinventing the wheel. Yeah, I know I need to go there, so I need to take out this section to get that. So it would be nice to have something that makes this stuff accessible on wire shelves.
How big is the actual space? I never really paid attention down below. I mean, is it a pretty good
It's
size?
big.
It's
what,
big. It's probably usable, just forgetting
It's
the
a
step area,
rectangular, yeah.
at least 10 feet by 15, 18 feet.
Yeah.
And it's fairly dry, or would
Oh,
we
yeah.
have to do some,
And
like,
you put a dehydrator in it if you need to.
dehumidifier? Okay. I just-
Yeah, and the other vault is filled already,
Yeah.
so you can't put any more in there, otherwise you can't walk in. And that was built,
Well, that's not fireproof.
yeah, it
anyway.
is.
That
That
was
other one?
in the library area?
Yeah, yeah, it's
The
fireproof.
door is not fireproof.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I beg to differ.
I was told it was a fireproof door. I wasn't here when it was built.
Well, some of the fireproof doors, though, in the building, I mean, you can have like a garage door, which
Yeah,
used to-
garage is only
like a
rated for,
1 hour
like-
fire rating.
Exactly.
But there's a difference between a 1 hour fire rating to hold it for, and then to have a fireproof door that's going to say
You
it's
can always
impervious.
replace the door
Right.
if it's not adequate.
Yeah, if this building burned down, the heat that would generate would melt even the fire-rated door.
Well, look, even some of the safes and stuff like that.
Oh,
you know,
sure.
It'll protect from getting inside, but, you know, and protect the water. If it's a sealed, it's 100, is the safe in there sealed for
It's-
water?
Yes.
Everything, okay. And then you had
Good
some,
oldie.
and then you had, what else did you have here, Carol?
Let's see.
Over.
Just to upgrade the webpage, as you mentioned before, using like interactive media for surveys and polling. I mean, we started using MailChimp, you know, since, so that's about it.
I mean, we got a lot of good ideas. I mean, there's a lot of good ideas here that make sense. You know, now we got to figure out, I mean, where do we want to start with something that's a priority in the town, just to pick one thing to figure on, you know, with documents? What is everyone's opinion, you know, that they have right now? And, you know, we're not going to plan on spending all this right now. We can start with something that might take time, that's like a need that we should have being either in compliance or making things better for the operation of, you know, servicing the people and everything else.
Going back to Carol's comment on the cell service and the parks, I think that really needs to be looked at as a priority. For emergencies, we had a situation not too long ago that could have turned out badly. And so I just think it's something we need to look at.
So I think, what do we need? We need to get some prices on trying to get the better Wi-Fi out there that's gonna spread it, the signal farther out on that. Would that be someone we would want to try to speak to Fred through, maybe, to kind of get an idea?
I think you call the cable provider, because
Oh, you think that they'd be able to do?
I think
Okay.
they make the hotspots too, so.
Okay. That'd be back with the Alties. All roads lead back.
All roads.
I'm in favor definitely of that, one, for safety reasons, and two, having accessibility over there. What about documents and stuff like that right now? Starting something with that, or we want to see if we can incorporate possibly holding a little bit on, wait and see if we can incorporate with the Historical Society? I don't know. Where we might be able to incorporate the cost to get,
Oh, they're gonna have a conversation with the
Yeah. No,
laser
that's
feed
what I mean,
person
so
and
maybe that will hold,
and see what we can do as far as combining efforts.
We can't hear you.
Oh.
Can you talk into your microphones? It's like just a private conversation, and we really can't follow what's going on.
It's the masks.
It is though, really, yeah.
Wow, someone's actually saying they can't hear me? Wow, that's a good one.
I think everything that's an accessibility issue is something that should be high priority. Should be definitely first on the list. And scanning documents and having them available to people would certainly be high on the list for me.
Okay.
I think I've been trying to write down my biggest priorities to me. Laserfish with the Historical Society and us, the safe, so that we don't lose anything. And I'm gonna surprise you all, but I think a generator as well. And the small stuff, I would think the server backup.
Server
Because if that
backup
server goes
and the
down,
network
We
switches.
could lose everything.
And the
If you
network
look at the
switches.
generator price and then all the rest of this, it's 50% of what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
sure.
So a decision may have to be made at some point. Do we do this much for that money, or do we do this much?
Yeah, I think the decision is probably gonna be that we try to take on these high-ticket items, these more expensive items. And then at the end, we see what we got left and we can work on this.
Well, I'm not clear on something, so maybe you can help me. Is this going to be done in stages?
Sure. We can.
So it would make sense for us to put a priority on the things that we want done
Sure,
first?
absolutely.
In the event that funding disappears or
Well, it's
something
not gonna
changes?
the funding is ours. We're allotted that 430,000 and change.
We have a couple of years to use it, so
Okay.
it's not
And
like it's going
and
away
like
tomorrow.
Mike said, we do.
But the
it has to
priorities
be
could also change in
stone by the
time.
24th. Well, but we gotta start reporting, or having a plan.
Mm-hmm.
These are the NEUs, non-entitlements is a little different than having like a big city or something like that. So we're our reporting isn't as critical. I mean, it's critical that we do our forms in when they have to be, but it's not as invasive as some of the bigger municipalities with that.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think to prioritize, I mean, we can do a couple different ways. I mean, we can take, think about over, a couple days and prioritize all this stuff down and what they have, and then next meeting, we pick a handful of them that we come up with the priorities in the beginning and start something.
Because what I'm thinking is, what's the biggest bang for the buck for the people that, your constituents, I mean, and maybe that means we have to back up and do stuff internally first in order to have that happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think safety, like the parks and trying to get some hot spots and having phone service, having, not just about crime, but as a safety standpoint, someone being there or whatever, it's, that so far is one of my top right off the bat. And it might not be that is expensive, but we gotta get some numbers on it
We're
anyway.
gonna need the network switches, or we're gonna be out of operation.
Okay.
And the same thing with the server backup system.
Right.
Yeah.
those
So-
two go down, we're dead. We might as well not come to the office.
Yep.
All right, so three on Ray's list is gonna be.
3 and
his-
4.
3
definitely.
and 4 priorities.
And I think for safety, Wi-Fi in the parks is on that list.
Yeah.
What's that?
I hate to make it personal, but my own son was waiting on an ambulance at that park once, and we couldn't even make phone calls.
Absolutely.
It was scary.
That didn't-
So, do we,
And the other thing is the highway roof. I mean, I think that's, we're going to have to fix the roof.
Yeah, the
and
roof.
so if we, we can get the spray foaming done at the same time.
Insulating.
Spray
Insulating
foam
the building.
insulation.
Yeah, because that insulation underneath that is,
I mean, we don't want it to fail and then have a problem.
well, it's a metal roof. So I don't know what technique they'll use to
we'll
fix
have to
it.
get some estimates, and, well, I mean, they'll have to
They
do
could
some sort of
they could
patches.
rubber coat it. They could
I
do
know,
a lot of
there's all
different things.
different ways of
And
doing it.
even the spray foam, if you're using a closed cell, I think it makes it water impermeable.
The only problem with closed cell, and the technology's come a long way, and this is where we gotta really talk to maybe the engineer. I had, matter of fact, yesterday I met with Bob Travis, with Pete Sotero's guy, and we were talking about the heating system over there, and we're in the process working together to design that. But closed cell, once you get it and it expands and contracts, it could potentially, and this is what happened in a lot of the houses now, the technology's definitely changed, but like as the wood and everything expanded and contracted, it would crack and you get moisture in between and cause issues. In the garage, I'm not sure how they would do it over the metal roof, but we would definitely want to speak to the, our engineers.
Of course.
And kind of see, but I agree, we got to do something because that's,
But even if you did a vapor barrier in between the metal and the spray
Yeah,
foam, then
something.
you're,
That's very hard to do.
I understand, but you could, whether it be a styrofoam board or some type of fiber core or something that can shield the metal from the actual spray foam,
Right.
and then spray it onto that instead of onto the metal surface.
yeah. Well, that's it, maybe then we got to get,
Check your estimates.
I mean, I can talk, if you want, what I can do, since I'm already talking with Bob Travis, and
Yeah.
he's away the next couple days, but I was going to talk to him on Monday or Tuesday. He's going to get back in touch with me.
Okay.
And I can ask him, that's another project that we're going to need to kind of figure out, repairing the roof, which is going to be the best way, and also potentially figuring out, dealing with the spray foam.
So do we wait another town board meeting to do something, or where do we go from here?
I think we need, for one, we need to find out about the broadband for the,
Well, I think we already said 2, 3, 4, the park
Yeah.
are the emergencies. So let's start on those,
okay,
and then the next town board meeting, we can chip away at the next.
yeah.
Okay, I'm just,
So the priorities, 3, 4, we can approve that, right, right? We can make a,
And 2, I think. I mean, you guys still gonna have a meeting with the historical society?
Right, we could still have the meeting,
Yeah.
but,
so you guys wanna approve number 2, the laser fiche right on through,
yeah.
right, tonight? Okay.
it's gonna take time to get all these things through, because,
no,
and
I'm
the
fine
prices
with
are
that.
going up on stuff,
That's right.
because this is hand labor.
Well, even as we've seen with the trucks for the highway,
You can't get
you
them.
can't get
Yeah.
them. So there may be something that we put an order in, and we gotta wait 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take items 2, 3, and 4, from Ray's updated list,
Right.
basically. Okay.
And do we wanna say the Wi-Fi in the parks as
And the
well?
Wi-Fi in the park is added.
But we don't have any cost for that one yet. But
Yeah.
So
I'm not objecting, I'm just,
items 2, 3, and 4 are, so that you can hear,
I'm gonna say.
Sorry?
Yeah.
It's the Laserfish project?
Yeah.
That they've
so that's all the
gotten,
scanning and
yeah.
documenting.
Price of each of these.
Right.
Yeah.
And 3 is replacing outdated computer network switches. And 4 is the server backup. And then the extra item
just
was
give it
the
to her.
Wi-Fi in the park.
So 2, 3, and 4 total add up to 122,627 by an estimate. We don't have the Wi-Fi for the park yet, but, estimate, but
You have to estimate that to be about between $10,000 and $15,000.
Wi-Fi in the park?
If you put, not the Wi-Fi, but the whole security thing.
We're just talking about how much it takes to run a wire, so.
Yeah.
No, I'll see if I can get something.
Okay, okay.
I'll put it down.
Well, if we approve them, we're gonna do them on, one resolution with each amount not to exceed, is that the plan?
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah, so with Wi-Fi, we can just say what,
15,000.
not to exceed 15,
four is gonna be.
but we'll get an estimate anyway.
Yeah, if the estimate comes in at 16 or 20,
Then we can,
then we have to redo it, that's
Yeah.
all. But I have bids for these 2 things, 3 things, really. I mean, I can send you the bid packages. I mean, I didn't make copies because this laser thing, it'd be about 3/4 to an inch thick. with
we're
all
trying to
the
save
backup.
paper, trying to save
Well,
paper.
I'm just saying, does anybody want to read it all?
I mean, and I would be in agreement with going with the tablet rather than getting all this paper too, so I mean, that's, if we wanted to do that,
Does that cover?
Would ARPA cover that?
it's more about accessibility, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know.
But I would
look into it.
recommend it for all the boards, planning board, zoning board,
You may recommend you want them, but you're not going to get them because they're not shipping them. They're not making the chips.
Oh, well, yeah.
They're in the ocean.
Again, that's another story, but
Yeah, they're in the ocean right now. And all of those have been pre-ordered just about.
Well, they're at the Port of Los Angeles.
Because it's closer to Japan and China and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay.
All right,
So you wanna make the motion on?
sure.
All right, I make a motion to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the town board approves the following projects using the ARPA funds prioritized in the order they are listed. I guess we're going all 3 here, or all 4. There's 4 of them. Laserfish project, cost not to exceed $103,327. Replace 3 computer network switches not to exceed $8,700. For the a computer backup server, not to exceed $10,600. And then number 4 would be the Wi-Fi in the parks, not to exceed $15,000. Do I have a second?
second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, so that ends the ARPA funding thing. So we're gonna go out of public discussion into the regular business order. I make a motion to return to regular order of business. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Now, the next item of business is purchase of a new laptop for the town clerk. This thing has blanked out many times during meetings, and we need a new one. I make a motion to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the town board approve the purchase from Dell a new Latitude 5520 laptop with MS Office. The town office has Office 365 subscription, so we can use it to install MS Office. Good for 2 PCs at a cost not to exceed $1,825, no sales tax included. Price based on New York State contract. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Okay, I got another one in here. Okay, we got 2 more in here. Whoops. Oh, that's not me. Okay, this is a letter being sent to our New York State, our federal congressman, Delgado. Now, I don't know if you read it yet. I got a copy of it here. I just wanted to, here it is. it's in the packet or not. but Here you go. That's right. There's 2 copies down there, 2 copies here. Essentially, it's, as I think Carol mentioned earlier, or somebody did, that we're requesting that they support loosening the requirements for ARPA, so we have a little more flexibility. So that's what this is. And it just came this afternoon, so that's why it's a little disjointed as we're working on it. But, so I wanted to get that out and have approval on it. So I make a motion here to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the town board approves Supervisor Ray Oberly sending a letter to Representative Antonio Delgado to support in a House vote Senate Bill 3011, which was unanimously approved by the U.S. Senate, which significantly expands how towns could spend ARPA funding. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Moving along. Now, we've been having some discussion for the last week or so on snow blowers. We did have a snow blower years ago. For some reason, it was sold, and I don't know if it was the right size or whatever. It doesn't matter. So we've been looking to find out what's available so that our handyman, Eric, can plow the walkways and stuff rather than having to lug all the shovels and stuff around. And after searching around, we found like 5 snow blowers available in the area. Physically, only 5. And then we had restrictions on the width so they fit on the ramps. So we come up with one. So I make a motion to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the town board approve the purchase of a Reardon Briggs Ariens professional snow blower model 926082, 32-inch wide, off New York State bid at a cost of $2,899. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, why was that one picked? Because there was a couple of ones that were less.
Because it's professional and we're gonna use it a lot.
I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
read what the difference, I mean, the other one was like $1,000 less. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
but-
wondering why it is.
But we're gonna be using it a lot to take care of all the walkways, some of the parking areas here at the town hall and stuff. It's gonna be heavily used.
So you're saying that it's more commercial graded?
Yeah.
It's more
Durable.
beefy, durable?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay. Now, the other question I had was, and I know you probably were talking about it earlier, but I just want to resolve it so that we all know what the issue is going to be. We had the parking area in the Friends Park macadammed. The deal was, since Colarusso was over doing the Heritage Road area, if we bought the macadam for our parking lot, he would bring his equipment and labor and do it free, okay? So we had to pay for 236, let's see, tons of macadam, which would come out to a bill of $17,395.63. The rest of the bill, which is $30,000 or something, was paid for the highway budget of doing the roads over there. Now, my question is that coming all out of rec? I was not involved with the discussions on where that was coming from, and I just wanted to
Originally, we approved taking $15,000 for that. That was an estimate
Yeah.
coming out of the, what do you call it, fund?
Correct.
Out of rec, but it was not a rec budget. It's out
subdivision.
of Subdivision
Oh,
fund.
okay.
And now we're revising it now that we got the actual figure.
Okay.
It was a couple $1,000s more than we anticipated, but it's still very reasonable.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
disputing the number, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out what
So-
accounting code I put it
Yeah,
against.
what we need to do is just make the figure correct
Yeah,
in order to take that money out of the subdivision fund.
So we're revising the previous
okay,
motion.
okay. Yeah, I'll make a
You wanna
mo,
do the okay.
I'll make the
Why don't you
motion,
do it now?
okay. Yeah, we'll just make the motion.
So
I make a,
do it
mo-
now.
I make a motion to approve the following resolution, be it resolved that the town board approve the purchase of macadam for the Friends Park parking lot for a total of $17,395.63 from Peckham Materials Corporation. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh,
Purchase.
Yeah, I should say from the subdivision development rec fund.
Right.
Yeah, I forgot that.
Okay.
So, all in favor then?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. I just need to know where to charge it. I wasn't questioning the number. So that takes care of that. Now, does anybody have anything else? And I know we had a couple of these late things that just popped up late this afternoon, but I wanted to get rid of them while we were here.
Give us a
That's it.
chance to have a meeting in between meetings and we start taking care of things.
Okay, so, okay, now we're going to go into executive session. At this point, then, the public will not be allowed to be here. The only other comment I have is, does anyone know if we're going to do any resolution or motion after the executive meeting? If we're not, then we can say that, and the TV guys can go to bed, go home, and the public can go. I just want to be sure. That's all. So I'll make that statement, and then we don't have to wait around. Okay. So at this time, we're going to go into executive session. There are no motions or resolutions to be approved at the conclusion of the executive session. So everybody can go home and enjoy your evening.
Thanks, everyone, for coming on out tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Nancy. I am not going to stay. So did you want to chat? Like.